Evening and welcome to the Standout conversation. Again, it's always wonderful to chat with you on Saturday, and it's 7 p.m. here in Turkey. And wherever you're joining me from, Canada, I say good morning, the US, Nigeria, Cameroon, wherever you're joining us from, South Africa. I'm excited to host you one more time and to chat with you and bring you life transforming conversations for your life. It is our desire in this program that as you watch, your mind your mind expands. You learn new principles. You learn how to go on. So I'm excited to host you again here. So as we normally do, I will ask that you allow us to welcome and receive more people to join us online. So you're very much welcome one more time. I have a very special guest today, as we always do. We have amazing guests with us in the house. So I want you to sit back and get ready for the conversation. Today, I have a very wonderful guest with me today. A very, very wonderful guest. And I have every belief that you are going to, enjoy all of the conversation today. So please sit back and let me quickly introduce my guest for today. Or should I say, let me allow him introduce himself today. So please welcome Mr. Harrison. Are you there?
Thank you
All
very
right.
much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chigozie Judge. That was wonderful. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It's my pleasure to be in this program today. My name is Harrison Yufenyoy Nze, and I have a background in mechanical engineering, and I'm also an entrepreneur. I I own and run a company that is called All Maritime and Power Plant Services, where we focus on providing world-class cutting-edge services to engines and power plant installations. We have businesses and customers in Africa and in the Middle East. I am also an alumni of the most cherished Mandela Washington Fellowship for Young African Leaders. And my goal in life is to make sure that I create impact in everything I do. So today I look forward to conversing with you, sharing my experiences, and also learning from you.
Oh, thank you so much. That was a very humble introduction of yourself. I will appreciate the humble introduction. You know, I'm 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 excited to have a conversation with you someone who is making impact in his own way, contributing economically, contributing in terms of employing people. You're contributing your own quota to the development of your country and Africa as well. So I'm really excited to chat with you and to hold this conversation with you. So I want to quickly ask, you know, what is the one thing that inspired you to move from being employed or to stop seeking employment, I would say, and then creating your own job? What is the one thing that you can say, this is what inspired me to create my own thing and go with it?
Um, I would say I've always had this desire to do more
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning, and then I noticed that if I have to create impact,
Mm-hmm.
it will be interesting to do so in a way in a large scale, and
Okay.
just working and earning a salary job was which I did before running into entrepreneurship was a
Mm-hmm.
stepping stone. So I think it was my desire to create impact into more lives.
Mm-hmm.
When because one of my I would say fulfillment is when at the end of the month I know that people are going to go back home with a pay package that is not only going to feed themselves but it's going to feed a lot of people. But because mind you, once you recruit one person in your family, one person in
Mm-hmm.
your company, sorry, it
Mm-hmm.
means you are p- feeding at least two to three more people
Yeah.
indirectly and
Yes.
creating impact in the society. So to
Mm-hmm.
me, coming from Africa, it was the zeal to be and the desire to do more to help to create
Mm-hmm.
impact that made
Hey.
me to
Okay.
transfer from being a worker into an entrepreneur.
How challenging has that been for you? I must ask.
Yeah, I would say it it's it's really been difficult,
Mm-hmm.
but interesting at the same time because entrepreneurship is full of uncertainty. It's
Yes.
like just going on there and then jumping, into a free space and you don't know where you will land. But then you have to
Mm-hmm.
take the courage to jump because you know
Mm-hmm.
that at
Mm-hmm.
least you're going to land somewhere. So there have been sleepless nights, there have been uncertainties, there have been more than uncountable closed doors, but you keep on knocking and opening and trying and going and hoping that one door
Mm-hmm.
will open that is going to create a change.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's not easy, but when you have that drive and
Mm-hmm.
and the interest in creating impact, you just keep on going.
If I may ask, what's been the most challenging, what can you say is the biggest challenge you face in creating your own space and employing people to work with you? What's the biggest challenge that you have faced so far?
Um, it will be difficult to state one particular challenge, but
Mm-hmm.
I will try to summarize it.
Okay.
Yes, one of the first things, first of all, first challenges was to resign from an international job, well-paid job, and say, okay, next
Wow.
month I'm not going to have salary again, but I believe that money will come from somewhere. That was the first. That was the first challenge. And I remember when I wrote my resignation letter, it took me 2 weeks to click send.
Hmm.
Every morning I was looking at it and saying, "Can I do this? Can I do this?" Yeah, and when I finally clicked that send, that is when the magic happened. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when it dawned on me that yes, truly, you are no more working. You have to do it on your own now. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember at that time I was in Nigeria, and then I took a flight back to Cameroon, and I said, okay, let's dive into
Mm-hmm.
this thing. So the first year was really challenging. I think we had only one contract that year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was like everything, like this was the contract of our lives. But when you believe that so, so it's going to happen, it comes in a way that you won't imagine. But I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to recount it, but it was really tough. It was really tough to grab that contract. And it was the kind of contract where you just have to prove yourself. Because
Yeah.
sometimes, no matter how good you are, and you
Mm-hmm.
keep on fighting and nothing is happening, you start having self doubt. Like, am I
Mm-hmm.
really this good? So
Mm-hmm.
I think when that contract came, we did everything we could to get it, and once we got it, it helped us. So it's something I'll ever keep in my mind.
You said something that something when it's not going as planned, you doubt yourself and question, say, am I really this good? And the reality is that it's not only you that questions if you're good at what you do or something. It's not only you. You understand? So
Yeah.
how 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 good is such an affirmation for you, or a big breakthrough for you? How big a big breakthrough was it for you for when that contract came in and it's like, did you feel like, yeah, I can do this, yes, I'm good enough? Did you suddenly feel that way?
Yes, it comes to confirm a lot of things, and it was a boost because it just reassures you that yes, everything you have
Mm-hmm.
been fighting for, all the sleepless
Mm-hmm.
nights, all the
Mm-hmm.
calls, all the
It's worth it.
tenders you have been placing, was
Mm-hmm.
just preparing you for this. And mind you, it was at the end that I noticed that all the closed doors, all the rejected contracts were
Mm-hmm.
preparing us for this one. Because
Mm-hmm.
behold, the way we did it was never like any of the ones that we did in the past before we got the contract. So it was a learning process. It was a learning curve. And one thing I also like to say is that as an entrepreneur, it's very important to have this personal development, the power of affirmation, when you really talk yourself
Mm-hmm.
into believing that you can do it. I
Mm-hmm.
remember there was a time, and sometimes I still do it now, where I call it a conversation with myself,
Mm-hmm.
where I sometimes just maybe look at myself in the mirror and talk
Mm-hmm.
to my 5 years old person and just try to remind me of how important I am, how strong I am, and the kind of things which I do and what I have done, what I look
Mm-hmm.
forward to do. Once I
Mm-hmm.
do that, it stays in my subconscious mind and it keeps
Mm-hmm.
me going.
So you're saying that sometimes you speak to yourself,
Yes.
you speak to your 5 old self, 5-year-old
Yeah,
self. When you speak
yeah.
to your 5-year-old self, what do you tell yourself?
I'll give you an example. Sometimes it will be like, "Dear Harrison, you are strong, you are smart, you are this and
Mm-hmm.
that. You have
Mm-hmm.
done this, you have done that.
Mm-hmm.
In 5 years old, in 5 years' time, you'll be able to do this and do that.
Mm-hmm.
You have the. I just try to name the qualities I know that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because sometimes if you don't do that,
Mm-hmm.
it will drive you into self doubt, or it will not get you as motivated as you should be. So
That's true.
it's about any adult trying to encourage a younger child, a teenager or a small
Mm-hmm.
child. So I put
Mm-hmm.
myself in that adult who's trying to advise my small me, and then I just talk to
Mm-hmm.
myself and make sure that, like, if you were to tell a 5 year or a small 4 years old child who's about to go and play a soccer game, what kind of encouragement are you going to give the child before he runs into the
Mm-hmm.
pitch? I make sure I
Mm-hmm.
give myself that encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe before I step out to do something, maybe before I go and give a pitch for a contract somewhere. And it's
Mm-hmm.
always amazing when you do that.
Wow, wow. One of the things that people struggle to do is to actually speak to themselves and say, look beyond what's happening in their present life, look beyond the pain that they're going through, because oftentimes our pain overshadow our abilities. Oftentimes our pain overshadow, you know our acceptance of our inner acceptance that we can do this, we can make this happen, and all of those things. For someone who is already defeated, maybe in their workplace, maybe they just lack the energy to get out and say, I want to do this, I want to do something more. What do you think is should be a way out for somebody who feels, look, I'm already down and out, I'm defeated in all of this, I don't think I could do this?
Yeah. And that's something I always tell my fellow entrepreneurs, that it's very important to appreciate not just yourself, but the people around you, the people that you
Mm-hmm.
work with.
Mm-hmm.
Because human beings are programmed to focus mostly on the negatives. Like when
Mm-hmm.
somebody does nine good things to you, immediately he does the 10th thing wrong, you tend to
Mm-hmm.
focus on that one wrong thing. And I keep on telling my people, the people in my space, I'll call it my space,
Mm-hmm.
that it's very important to keep the positive energy around. If you go to work in the morning and somebody does the little thing that is
Mm-hmm.
good, even if it's his job description, you should be
Mm-hmm.
able to tell the person, well done, that's good, I'm proud of you, congratulations. That
Mm-hmm.
alone boosts the person. And once you are in self doubt and you think that, oh, but my boss told me yesterday that I am good, or this my friend told me that I am that, it
Mm-hmm.
helps you, it encourages you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that nobody's perfect. We
True.
always try to be perfect every time. So I would say, if you find yourself in that space of self doubt, just
Mm-hmm.
remember the things that you have done. That's why it's important to write down what you are worth. It's important to write down what you know you can do. What are your strengths? Write them down. And what are
Mm.
your weaknesses? You also write them down. So that when you're in that self doubt, you look at, is this self doubt coming from my weakness or from my strength? If it's coming from
Mm.
your weakness, you say, oh, yeah, it's something I already know and I'm trying to work on. And then that will not bring you down.
So, if I understand, let me just get this clear. You said it's important that you write your what you're good at, what you're
Yes.
not good at. Write your strengths and write your weaknesses. You just
Yes.
said that it's possible that self doubt can come from even the things we're good at.
Yes.
I used to think that self doubt comes from the things we're not good at. But you just said self-doubt is it's possible for self-doubt to come from even the things that we are good at. How does that happen? How do I doubt myself in the things I'm good at?
Okay, I will give you an example. Um, I don't know if you're a soccer lover, but I'll give you an example of a star player who is about to take a penalty shot.
Okay.
At the time he takes that penalty, in most cases, he's not 100% certain that he's going to score.
Mm-hmm.
There is still some doubt.
Yes.
And if you can imagine for a second what runs in his head before he goes to kick that ball,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of motivation in it. And mind you,
Mm-hmm.
not all stars score. No matter how many times you score, there's going to be that one time that you will shoot and miss. And
Mm,
behold, once you shoot and miss, there's always a doubt in you for the next opportunity that you have to kick the penalty. You'll be like, am I
mm,
going to miss like the last time? But we look at them, I will say, no, this guy is the best penalty shooter. But there will still going to be that doubt one day when he's about to shoot, or because he shot and missed because of different circumstances. The other
mm-hmm,
circumstances can make you to not to be at your optimal performance, even in your strength.
mm,
The
mm.
circumstances around you, your health, the news you heard, your family, your feeding, your lifestyle. There are a lot of things that happen. So even if you're at good as what, there will must be that time when you are not at the peak of your performance. And if you don't do anything well in that your strength, it's going to reduce your confidence, and it might bring self doubt.
So I love this. So there are seasons in everyone's life where no matter how good you are, there are seasons you won't win.
Yes, and
So
you have to know that.
that's what you that we all have to accept that no matter how excellent we are, no matter how good we are at something, there are seasons and there are times in our lives where we will not win. So,
Yeah,
what would you
and
say for?
now and
Yes, sir.
and now what happens is, what do you do after you have not won?
Hmm.
That is the next stage. So sorry, just continue. I wanted to just make that
No, I
point.
want you to finish on that line before I interrupt. I want you to finish on that line.
Yes, when you are the best in what you do, and then you you come out to the pitch one day and you are not your best, or you do everything and you don't win, you don't succeed. What do you do next? And I think that is where the power of entrepreneurs come in, because no matter how you lose, you keep on fighting. Like I will tell you, we are the best in what we do in Central and West Africa when it comes to marine and power plant services. But now, if I stand up for a contract and I don't win it, what happens? That's when you go back to your book of who that tells you what you are, the strengths and the weaknesses. You look at, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, and then you tell yourself, yeah, I did not do it this time. But it doesn't mean that I am not good. It just means that I need to do more next time, and that's when we talk about continuous improvement. Because people still competing. The fact that you are good doesn't mean there are not people looking up to you and trying to be like you.
Hmm.
So it could
Hmm.
be that you stayed there and people came and competed and they are now better than you. So when you don't win, go back to the drawing board, practice again, find out what happened, correct it, and then you move on.
How important is continuous improvement to success? Because you just said something. It's there is for people who are really good at what they do, at some point in their life, they feel like I'm good in this. There might not be need for me to, practice or improve, improve upon my skill. They just feel like, okay, I could do this. But you just said it is important to, when you don't win, go back to self improvement and continue to work on yourself until you get the opportunity. How important is self improvement, either in your area or in my area or anybody's area? How important is it's self improvement?
We're in a world that is changing so fast, and the things that used to be looked like rocket science yesterday, today are very trivial things. And no matter how good you are, there are always people who are trying to be like you. Once you set a record, know that
Hmm.
somebody's trying to beat that record. And
Hmm.
if you stay at that position, know that someone is going to go and win and maybe surpass your performances. So it's
Hmm.
important. It's important as an individual to make those little increments in everything you do every day. No matter how good you are in something, there's always something new that you can learn. And that's why it's important. And I tell people every time that if you can find just 15 minutes every day to try to know something new or something different in your life, you will notice that in one year you would have learned 360 different things that you did not know last year. And those
Hmm.
are the things that are going to make you different. It takes just little time. I remember for a few years ago, I used to spend only 15 minutes every morning to read a book. And you will not imagine how much knowledge I gained from all those books that I read when I was still a student, from when to when I was a worker. And most of these books, had nothing to do with what I was studying in school. I studied engineering, but I read business books, I read personal development, I read religious books. Even when I was working, I read so many books that today sometimes I sit somewhere and it's the impact of those experiences that I had from the little improvements that I made that help. So it's important every time to continue to improve, make little increments in everything you do. I mean, the moment you relax, it's like your body. If you don't exercise every day and you think that it because you run 100 meters today, in 6 months you will run the same 100 meters in 10 seconds,
Mhm.
you will notice that that's not going to be easy because you have not been practicing your body. So our brains and the human body are just like that. You have to make sure that you keep on making little increments in your performances every day.
Hmm. Hmm. I was gonna ask, the success that you're having right now. I know that I don't believe that success is possible single handedly. I don't believe there's anyone, no matter how intelligent, no matter how much of a genius you are, I don't think there's one person who could say, I'm the architect, the sole architect of my success. So I'm gonna ask, how important is team playing? To play with a team, to work with a team, how important is that in building success or building a business?
Yeah, someone once said that single-handedly you can do it, but together you can do more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in as much as individually you would think that you can do it alone, it is very
Mm-hmm.
important to have a team or a support system
Mm-hmm.
with a unique and identified goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, having that team helps a lot. And once you have a team that understands the dream, understands the goal, and have the, because everyone is unique. You can There are no two identical people who have the same strengths and same weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have a team, you will notice that sometimes we've talked about strengths and weaknesses a few minutes ago. When you have a team, you will discover that when you come together and blend your strengths, that's when you form a compact system that is difficult to break. So it's very
Hmm.
important to have a team in your group system.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Now, talking about the team, I was going to ask, how do you, I believe you employ people, when you employ people, what are the skills? Now, I know there's the academic qualification that you require, the academic skills. What are the soft skills you look out for when you're employing people?
One of the first things that I look after is attitude.
What attitude would that be?
I would say a positive attitude. Are you a
Mm-hmm.
trustworthy person? Are you a futuristic person? Are you someone that is willing to learn? Are you someone that we can rely on?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Because skill alone is not enough.
Hmm.
Skill alone is not enough.
There was a time we had a conference here. I can couple it, and one of the things I did state was talent is never enough.
Yes.
You could be as talented as anything. There are certain soft skills that if you do not have them, success will always be far from you. You can have all the talent. You can come up from the with a first class. You could be the best graduating student. There are certain soft skills that if you do not have them, such as, like you have just said, are you someone willing to learn? What is your interpersonal relationship with, and I wanted there's something I've always believed. When people employ, when CEOs like you, managers employ, they employ based on your certificate at the entrance level. At the entrance level, you're employed based, because at the entrance level, nobody can really ascertain your interpersonal skills, your attitude, your loyalty, and all of those things. No, not much can be ascertained from them. But then when people promote, they don't promote based on certificates. They promote based on the soft skills. So when you consider people for promotion in your organization or for recognition in your organization, I want to go back to that question. What specifically are you looking for?
We've had people who have entered our organization as maybe an engineer
Mm-hmm.
and have ended up in the management
Mm-hmm.
department or in the management sector, or who entered as somebody willing to learn with no knowledge in or do not have any technical skills,
Mm-hmm.
and have finally ended up as maybe a maintenance technician or a specialist in a domain.
Mm-hmm.
So once we recruit, what we always look for are those skills that you are good at, or what are you best in, what do you easily do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that's when talent development comes in. we
Hmm.
look we look for your talent, and then we try to build you towards that talent, because remember, we always, as a company that is seeking to be efficient, we want people who can take the least amount of effort to do much work. So
Hmm.
we train people, or we identify your talents, and then we try to bring you up towards your abilities.
Mm-hmm. 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 I want to quickly. You just talked about recognizing people's abilities and all of those things. I want to ask, what exactly is the job of a CEO? What exactly, as someone who is a CEO or owns a managing partner, what exactly is the job of a CEO?
That's a good one. Um, it would be difficult to give a fix a fixed job description of a CEO today, especially for someone like me who started from scratch and built the company to where it is now. Yeah, I remember when we started, I was the accountant, I was the HR, I was the engineer. But as time goes on, you 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 you, you deliberate those tasks. When you
Mm-hmm.
see that, okay, now you need to outsource accounting, you need to outsource hiring, you need to outsource, or you need to hire somebody who can do particular things. I think as a CEO, we are always overseeing to make sure that things are done well, because no matter how talented somebody is, and no matter how visionary he might be, if you're the CEO, being a founder of an organization means you know where you want it to go. And sometimes when you try to share the vision to the people, they understand, but you always need to keep on reminding them. So I would say the key job of the CEO is to inspire the people in the company to
Mm-hmm.
follow the vision and to motivate them to achieve the desired goals. Now, in addition to that, I will say we are also like, um, how will I put it? We're always looking for where there is a problem to solve before something happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, like when you have a team, you know that this person is good at this,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to do this and that thing tomorrow. You make
Mm-hmm.
sure by the time he gets to that thing, you
Mm-hmm.
already figure out what might go wrong, and you
Mm-hmm.
you 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 enlighten him towards that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I know sometimes we the CEOs we are tempted to think that we can do better than any person, because
Mm-hmm.
we want things to be done very fast. So
Mm-hmm.
but as a CEO, I think that it's important to let people do their jobs right,
Mm-hmm.
oversee them, drive the vision, coach them, communicate to them better, encourage them, look for more opportunities, and grow the company.
Yeah, I you just talked about inspiring people, and it's part of the job of the CEO to inspire people. I've always believed, and you spoke a lot about vision as well. I've also always believed that part of the key job of the CEO, yeah, to influence people to believe in the vision, then to do vision casting, to say, okay, this is our vision, this is what we want to achieve, this is what we want to go for. Sometimes we get people into the organization who just, especially at the beginning, I want to ask, at the beginning you bring in people who, you know you share part of the vision with them, you try to inspire, then you suddenly realize, this person might not be fit for this, for what you want to achieve. How do you deal with that situation?
Um, I'm going to say something now, and I'm not sure a lot of people will agree with me,
Hmm.
but I will let you know that um, as an entrepreneur and as a CEO, you should learn to fire quick.
Learn to fire
Yeah.
quick. Hmm.
Yes. Once you identify that this person is not the right person for your organization, fire the person and look for the, because I would say no matter how good you are in recruiting, there's always a day that you make a mistake. And not
Hmm.
everybody that
Hmm.
comes to the
Hmm.
organization can drive the vision with you. Some come with their ideas, some come with their visions, the others come with their objectives. And once you notice that this person cannot drive your dream, this person is not teachable, this person is not willing to learn, this person does not have a good attitude, the first thing you should do is to fire. And I always tell that people, if 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 you see if somebody does something in your organization and you start thinking about firing him, know that the time is coming soon when you have to do so
So
before the worst happens.
the moment you begin to say, I need to fire this person,
Yeah,
that's about the right time to fire this person.
it's about the right time. I would say so.
you
It's
know,
about the right time.
for someone like me, I would have said I like the principle of, okay, trying to give someone a first, a second time, a third time. But I've realized that oftentimes people who need to be given once first chance, second chance, third chance, they don't really change. One of the
Yeah,
things
you
I've
end up firing them. You end up firing them in the third chance after letting your company go through mistakes for three times when you have avoided that in the first chance.
yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah,
talking about.
that's the
And
truth.
yes, for large organizations who have really grounds, who have
Mhm.
branches, and who have really grown to those extents where they can dare to keep somebody and let them make the mistakes that cannot really impact your organization. Yeah, you can give them those chances. But for startups, there are mistakes that cannot be corrected, and there are
Mhm.
people who are not teachable. So
Mhm.
once you figure out that in a person, there's no need to keep the person. And that's why it's important to take time in hiring so that you won't
Mhm.
have to fire quick. But once you see that you have made a mistake, fire the person
Acknowledge
and
it,
look for a competent
acknowledge it,
person.
and fire.
Yes.
Hmm. Like I said, for someone like me, I just always will think, okay, I'm gonna give you a first chance, a second chance. I'm gonna try to talk you, but I realize an older woman some years ago. I think the woman was in her 60s, thereabout 65 or thereabout. She once looked at me and said, "Remember, people don't really change." And so even if people change, the change is always small. The
Yes.
core values of people, the core characters of people never really change. When someone is past certain age, their core values, their core attitudes never really change. And I think those core attitudes are the things that people take into their workplace and it continues to go. Someone who's not loyal when they're 25, he's not going to be loyal when they're 35, most likely.
Exactly.
You know, I do not know how true this may be, but I've always believed and told people, when you see somebody who is about, 30 years, 30 something years, and they haven't held a relationship down. I mean, romantic relationship. They haven't held the relationship down for 5 years consistently. They are always been in and out and in and out of, and they blame every other person in that relationship. I've always told myself that they are bad for hiring in job. They're bad for hiring because I do believe that part of the character that makes people, employable is loyalty, commitment. People who can start, people who can start something and finish it. If you see someone who's 30, 35 years and they say, like, I've got no friends, for example, those you went to high school, you went to university, and we say your how long is your oldest friendship, and you say my oldest friendship is 1 year. I personally feel like it's a very big red flag for employment. I don't know what you feel about it, but that's my thought.
Yes. Yes. It's a big red flag. Yeah, I would say it's a red flag for employment because People who are not loyal, you see it in their relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And one of the things that employers do now when they want to hire is, in most cases, when you go for a face-to-face interview, they don't talk about the job.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about your relationship, how your friends. Just like, most of the things you said, those are the researches they make. And today we have many algorithms that can bring out the truth about that. So, somebody who cannot be loyal to his friend's cycle will not be loyal in your organization.
Hmm.
And truly, there are people who cannot be changed. The most difficult task now for entrepreneurs and talent acquisition managers is to be able to figure out those people who you don't even need to hire in the first place.
It is, I will tell you the truth, it is very difficult to figure out who not to hire at this, especially in this generation. Everything is fast, everything is goes, and but then at the same time, the thing now is that every information about anybody is out there. Every
Yeah.
information about anybody is out there also, you know, still and still. But I want to quickly ask something. As someone from Africa, from Cameroon, we're neighbors, and with what you're doing, and you've also traveled around the world, what do you think is our problem? I don't believe that the continent is poor. I don't believe that we don't have the resources to compete with any nation in the world. As a CEO trying to build a system for the people, what do you think is the problem? Is our limitation?
I think the problem is both internal and external.
Okay.
Most African youths keep on saying the problem is our leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree with them. Part of the problem is our leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And another part of the problem comes to the people who once decided to come to Africa and tell
Mm-hmm.
us that they have discovered Africa and then colonize us.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will tell you, there are hidden clauses that were written down and signed even after the independence in courts
Mm-hmm.
that still are in existence today.
Hmm.
Yes. And sometimes most of these our African leaders who are, don't mind you, I'm not on their side, neither am I trying to justify what they are doing. Sometimes some of these leaders are faced with a lot of pressure coming from the imperialists who seek to keep us backward and underdeveloped so that they can continue to do what they are doing to us. So I would say
Hmm.
the problem of Africa, it comes from the fact that our most of our leaders are not courageous enough to say we really want to be independent and I want to
Mm-hmm.
stand for my people. They prefer to buy into the pressure from the foreign powers that
Mm-hmm.
prefer to let them feed their pockets and allow the young Africans or their population to suffer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The systems that have been put in place by our leaders, as mostly systems that were learned from the colonial masters, I will dare to challenge you. If you look in Africa, when most of African countries became independent, we needed to build Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the schools that were brought to Africa, they were teaching us social sciences, anthropology, geography, and all of that. That's not what we needed at that time. We needed technical school. We needed builders, plumbers, mechanics, and all those people who could, learn how to use a dam to create electricity, who could learn how to build a house, to build roads. You know, we needed people like that. We needed doctors, but they came and taught us how to train. They came and train lawyers and administrators, people who could
And
sit in the
religious
office.
knowledge.
Yes, exactly. Religious knowledge. They brought the Bible, and when you look at in Europe today, the population of Christians compared to Africa and Muslims is declining in Europe and increasing in Africa. Going back to what I was saying, you will notice that their plan was not to come and develop us. They came and discovered that we were striving. Look at Egypt before the imperialists came. Egypt was striving with a good system, We look at our traditional management systems today. Those were systems that, if they were left in place, Africa would have been more developed than now.
The Benin Empire was thriving.
Yes. So the systems that were put in place by our colonial masters are still in place today. And that is what is making us backward and underdeveloped until our leaders. And I like the fact that today we have courageous African young leaders who are coming up and telling them no to their faces that, okay, this is what has to be done. It's not supposed to be done the other way around. If we could be able to accept that, yes, these people came so that we were striving and said us so many years back, let's cut or let's put all these systems into the dustbin and look at our core traditional values or new systems that can let us thrive. That is when we will grow.
Hmm.
Today,
You know,
look when you look at the structure of Africa, we still depend on a lot of things that are coming from the people who came and tried to take from us. So I would say it's the leadership system of Africa that is put in place that was put in place in the past by the imperialists, and it is the egoistic attitude of our leaders that has kept us backward.
now, I totally will agree with you. You know, one of the things I observed or I saw recently, when African nations gained independence, the first presidents of those countries that gained independence, the first young people, the first leaders were young, and they did not just gain independence. Many of them began to seek for economic independence. Many of them began to have this nationalistic movement and say, we want to be a people, we want to be financially independent. But I noticed that every of the leader that sought financial independence, economic independence, all of them were assassinated through
Exactly.
a coup d'etat. And those that were assassinated through, most of them were very young leaders. And then there were and most of them that were assassinated, and the assassinations were led or influenced by imperial powers, by Western forces, by colonial forces. And all of these people that were assassinated were seeking for economic independence. My question is, despite the system that is both from external internal, it seems there is an agreement to frustrate the whole nation as well. What can young people do? What can people like you, building and working hard? You know, I know you've got your kids, and you're always saying, "I want my kids to live in my country. I want them to, be proud of their country." How can you contribute? How can we contribute despite the system that is against us, internal and external? What chance do we have? What chance does anybody have, not just a success, but to create an identity that people will be proud to live for?
Um, it's a sad situation, but we have to deal with it, and we have to be hopeful that things will change. There has been little progress, but I will tell you, Africans have tried.
Okay, good.
Africans have tried. Today, you and I, we can sit on the table and talk with the imperialists. Last year, I was in the White House in America, and I was opportune to have meetings in the White House with um, the Department of African Relationships,
Hmm.
and we talked about the things that have been going wrong. We talked about the funds that have been going to Africa. We talked about the aid that has been coming to Africa for years, and we have not seen any change.
Hmm.
20 years, I don't know, 50 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible, especially as a black guy. How would I
Hmm.
find myself in the White House of America?
Hmm.
So the little efforts that our forefathers have put in place are yielding fruits,
Okay.
but the results are little, but they are coming progressively. I
Okay.
would say in this our time now, we have to play our part in the struggle. Playing our part in the struggle means we need to be able to train people. You and I are able to stand here and talk and share great ideas like this
Mm-hmm.
because our parents made sure that we should have this education, we should have this knowledge, we should have this attitude. They
Mm-hmm.
did their best. You and I, looking at what they had at that time, the resources they had to be able to,
Mm-hmm.
and the resistance they even had to be able to bring you and I to this stage.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think we can do as little as they did, or we can do more?
We
I
should be able
believe
to
that
do more.
I believe that we can do more. So what I do is that right from the household, I try to teach the children those values, those beliefs, those things that are going to make them to be able to succeed wherever they go. And I will, those are interpersonal skills that I'm talking about. It means I have to be able to let my child know that there's no difference between him and a white kid who is somewhere, or there's no difference between him and any other human being anywhere in the world. And the fact that he was born in Africa is actually an opportunity for him because he has the ability to be able to see the things that other people have not seen. To go through these struggles Africans are going through, it's actually a learning curve. It makes you more resistant than other people. So that's why, as you rightly said, I always tell the people that I like my children to grow up in Africa because that is where I think I can still be able to put the the interpersonal skills and that culture that we have that is going to make them better. So I don't only do that to my kids. I also make sure that everybody around me, I try to let them understand how important it is for us to know our culture, how it is for them to know, for us to know our history, and how it's important for us to strive to be a continent that is respected and that is equal and even more powerful than other continents.
I do actually think that we have what it takes. We have what it takes to be great. And the thing is, we're learning from people who we're learning from people who have let's say done it in their own society. So we have the opportunity to do better as when we're building our own cities, when we're building our own organizations. We have the opportunity to do a lot better. That's what I think. We have the opportunity to do better, and I really hope that somehow we can do better than you know others. I have some questions here, that someone has just put in here. So let me see. Uh, okay, 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 okay. I think someone wants you to address the concept of, you said skills alone don't just cut it. So I'm going to go back to someone wanting you to address that skills alone are not enough. That's something I got here. Skills alone are not enough. So while we go back, it's important that we take question. What do you think? Are you going to go back and address when someone says, when you said skills alone don't cut it in the job place? Can you please quickly address that quickly for somebody?
Yes, I will. I'll be happy to do that. I would say, imagine somebody who is very good in computer science, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and you hire him as a computer engineer of your company. But this guy is someone who is sneaky, who likes to peek into people's private lives.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who uh, might be tricky or funny. And then you notice that one day he tries to maybe hack into somebody's account and use it to maybe buy something online and all of that
Mm-hmm.
because he has the skills to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to hire that kind of a person?
No.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. And then now you have this other person that you know you can teach him. He's not yet good in computer science as much as that, but you can teach him the required skills to be able to do his job description
Mm-hmm.
rightly and on time. If I were to interview those two people and I notice that the person that has lesser skills is trustworthy
Mm-hmm.
and is willing to learn, is reliable, I will hire him rather than hiring somebody who has the best skills and is not trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was talking about, considering attitude to skill. There's somebody who is well talented but has a bad attitude, and there's somebody who is not as talented as him but is willing to learn and has a good attitude.
You know, people who have bad attitudes can actually influence and destroy the entire system, and
Yes.
they are they are pains through the system, you know. And I do agree with you that it's important that once you find those people with the system, the best thing would be to get them out as soon as possible, you know, in the right way, legally, and in a way that is humane, you know, to get people out. I want to quickly ask, you know, there's this syndrome of people wanting to, you know, they work 2 years here, they work 2 years here, they work 1 year here. How important is it for someone to stay committed to a place of work for a long time? And what makes people stay?
Um, there are different things that make people stay. And in our organization, you have to also know your workers' objectives.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who come because they want to learn, grow, and live.
Mm-hmm.
There are
Hmm.
people who come because they want to have a comfortable lifestyle. Maybe your pay package is good and the other amenities that come with it are good and they are really comfortable. They want to stay.
Mm-hmm.
There are other people who are always just eager to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And once they stay and they see that they're already comfortable, they want to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you are the one as a CEO to be able to figure out that. Then there are others who come and leave because they are not good. They keep
Hmm.
on being fired from one company to the other. And that is why background check is very important during hiring.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I would say it depends on the person doing the background checks to really be sure of why this person has kept on moving from one company to the other in every 2 years. It
Mm-hmm.
could be that he's very good and he's sorted out, or he's well,
Mm-hmm.
he's more sought for by recruiting companies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some people are like that. They just want to stay 2 years and go because they want to grow or they want to make more money. Once you propose
Mm-hmm.
more money to them, they leave. Others want to stay because they are comfortable. Others stay because they are loyal and they want to grow with you.
Hmm. How- you know, how do you encourage people to stay and grow with you? You know, because I do know that, you know, building from the scratch is not easy, and especially when you don't have all of the money. You know, if you have all of the money, if you pay people well, they're going to stay. But because people are paid well doesn't necessarily mean that they're loyal. Like you said, the pay package is good, they stay for the pay package. But I do not think the organization, a strong company, a strong organization, is a strong system is built on the back of people who stay because the pay package is good. I do not believe so, because those people, once there's a problem in the pay package, they move to where there's a better pay package. So I do think that the system is built on the back of people who look beyond the pay package. But that also means that the company has to do something to make them stay and believe. How do you make people stay beyond the pay package?
I would say you need to identify their motives.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather say how do you make them stay when you need them?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are some people that you need them
Mm-hmm.
despite their motives. And in certain situations, until you find someone who is better than them, if their motives are not aligned with your company, you need to keep them. Yeah.
So there are people that you just keep them in the system because you need to find someone who is better than them and someone who can deliver more. You know that they're just here for the money package, but you need to find someone who is better. How do you manage such a group of persons? How do you manage that kind of a person? You know, oh my God, I wish you're not in this system. I wish you don't work with us. but we haven't found someone better than you. How do you manage that so that they don't
Well,
destroy the system?
well, it's like that's why I say that you need to figure out all your workers' motivation. What motivates them?
Mm-hmm.
What are they looking after? You know, we're in a world where it's a give and take society,
Mm-hmm.
where they don't people don't get up and call and come to work in the morning just because they want to grow your company. They
Mm-hmm.
also have to have something in return, and
Mm-hmm.
those things are always different.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you need to know what motivates your workers,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to make sure you give it to them to motivate them to keep on working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, those who want to grow the vision with you. And before I continue, I would like to say that as an entrepreneur, it's very important to be truthful
Mm-hmm.
to your workers. When I say being truthful, mean you have to sometimes have sincere discussions with them, let them understand the dream of the company, let them understand what is happening. And I will tell you, there was a time that I thought that everybody was understanding where the company was going to, and they were not. They were not at
True.
all.
True.
Yes, they were like I noticed that everybody was grumpy in the office. I was like, but what's happening? I've been working so hard to make sure that we keep our figures up. The figures are not going up, but
Mm-hmm.
everyone is just expectant. Then I said there's something wrong. So I noticed that they don't for some time we did not share the growth of the company. We did not share the vision. We did not present the balance sheet of how things are going. And so we organized this meeting and we made a presentation and we showed them our figures. We showed them everything. And behold, everybody went quiet. And the next day in the office, most of them were different because we reminded them of the vision and we shared them sincerely. They noticed how hard we have been working, even to pay their salaries. Because at that beginning, there were times when we, at the management team, we did not even have salary. We
Mm-hmm.
used to make sure that the guys who are coming and working every morning and going back in the evening had their salaries.
Mm-hmm.
So when they saw that we have been paying them for months and not paying ourselves, that's when they understood that if these guys can pay us without paying themselves, it means that they really believe in us. And
Mm-hmm.
their productivity increased. So that's what I'm saying. It's important to be truthful to them. Let them know. Once you know what motivates them, give it to them and get their results. Remember, it's a give and take. You want them to provide the right results for the vision
Mm-hmm.
of the company, and they
Mm-hmm.
also want something specific to their needs. So you
Mm-hmm.
give it to them, and they give what you want to you.
Mm-hmm. Our time is fast spent, but I wouldn't want to end the conversation without asking you. It can be tough as an entrepreneur at the office, especially when you're trying to build something. Things may not be going, we know, as you said, things may not be going as well as you planned. How important is the home front to the heart of the one, to the entrepreneur, whether it's a woman or a man? How important is that? How important is that stability to you, and like that?
Um, I would say it's a good home provides good entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
When I say a good home, it means your partner, the person you have chosen to live with. It's a backbone of your success
Mm-hmm.
because those are people who decide your day. They decide.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people that I wake up and see every morning. The
Mm-hmm.
relationship you have with that person, the smiles you get, or the mood you bring, the fire in the relationship is very
Mm-hmm.
important for your growth. And knowing that you go back home and meet the people, it's also very important because it helps you to rest or it can give you more stress depending on the relationship you have with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's important to be this. Your time is running short, but I would like to say this: it's
Mm-hmm.
important to be happy in your relationship. And I always tell people that you are the one who decides your happiness in the relationship. Because I've discovered that once you give happiness, like if you are in a relationship and make your partner happy, you will notice that once your partner is happy, you yourself you are going to be happy.
That's true. That's true.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. I want to quickly ask, you know, what what do you hope to achieve? What is one thing that you hope before my time is done? And if I can achieve this, how? What would you want to share? As would you want to share and say this is one thing I hope to achieve before my time is done here?
Um, I would say when I will be able to measure the impact I have created on mankind. When I'll be able to say that we started this company and it has grown now and is helping this, creating this and that impact all over the world. We'll be able to say that look at this child that we brought in as a trainee, and now he's a CEO of one of our companies somewhere, or he is a CEO in a different company elsewhere, depending on where he wants to be. I will be happy to see and see the testimonies that come from from people that come from the impact that we have created. It's not going to be more of financial figures. I am not sure that I'm a fan of money. It's going to be more
But
on the
money
measure
is
of the
good.
impact I have created on mankind.
But money is good.
Yeah, of course, without money, you cannot create impact.
I like that part. Without money, you cannot create the impact. That's the truth.
Yes,
That's the truth.
yes. How will you create impact without money? Just talking enough is not talking is not enough. You have to you you have, for example, why do we work so hard in order to make money, and then people can believe in you that yeah, you have made this money, and then you use the money to create impact. You
Hmm.
understand? Yeah, you can decide to sponsor. I don't know. You can build a foundation somewhere. You can bring electricity to a neighborhood. You can do a lot of things with money. But if you don't have the money, it's only going to be a thought. Even if you have the thought and you go, you have to raise funds before you can be able to create big impact.
Maybe I wanted to close, but I want to close this. I wanted to close with that question, but I feel like just asking now that you've just talked about money before we go. I'm sorry, everyone, and I'm sure this is one question people want to ask. As an entrepreneur, what will be your three best ways to raise money for your business? Because there are many people who are listening on this platform, who are young entrepreneurs, who are going through their own businesses, who do. What will be your best three ways to raise money for your business?
First, I would say use the bank's money. Don't use your money. Use the bank's money.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
use the bank's money. But it's difficult. That's the first one. But it's the most difficult because banks always need you to have equity or something you can leverage on to prove to them that their money is not going into flames.
Mhm.
Yes. The first way, which I would say for startups to raise money, is by selling your skills. If you have if you are like a service delivery company, then it's easier for you to sell the skills because you provide the service to somebody and then they can pay you. That's the first way, and that is how we grew up. We grew up by by selling services to people, and then we got to a stage where we could go to banks now and tell banks that okay, we need money to invest in this business, and based on our on our results from the past exploits, they can easily give us money. So
But the
once
banks
you
will
are
still
able to,
require equity for that.
yes, banks will still require equity. That would say first you need to build your equity through the selling of your services. Once you have the equity, you start using the bank's money.
Hmm.
Yes.
And finally, one more option.
The last one will be through fundraising, which I'm not very good at, but I know some good friends who are doing good in fundraising. It's always a good one to raise funds, right? Write projects, seek funds, seek for funding, and once it's done, you can move from there.
I'm glad you did not say, "Oh, family, relatives,"
No.
all of that. I'm glad you did not say that because I've come to realize. Okay, I want one of the things I want to say about myself and the work that I do is, I'm grateful for the family I come from. I'm blessed to have one or two persons in my family who I know that regardless of whatever business I've always run over the years, I've got a couple of one or two persons in my family who stuck out their head and say, "I'm with you all that way." But as beyond that immediate family, friends, I've come to realize most people wait for your success. Most people will wait for your success. Not many people will be willing to say, oh, I've got a raw, there's a raw talent there. There's a genuine business there. I'm going to commit huge financial finances to it. I've come to realize not too many. If you find those persons in your immediate circle, I want to say to you, you got to worship the ground they walk on, because you see, I'm sorry to say this, never, anybody listening, never let anybody use "I love you," "I support you," "I'm with you" to confuse you. Those words mean nothing if they are not backed up by genuine actions. They mean nothing if they're not backed up by genuine actions. And I mean, in terms of speaking in terms of money now, if someone comes, if you go to someone and say, I've got this big business that I want to go into, and they have always said, we believe in you, we trust you, we have confidence in you. If they don't back it up with finances at that point, they never believed in you. They never.
That's that's right. That's right. And just like you and me, nobody ever wants to throw money away.
Nobody.
So before you give your money out, you always want to be sure that this money is going to come back or it's going
Mhm.
to do what it was meant for.
Mhm.
And that justifies what you're talking about belief. They only give out money when they already believe that yes, this guy can do it. And it's always after they have seen you do something. Then they will say, he did this. So yeah,
Mhm.
means he can do this other one.
Wow.
So and that's why when I was talking, I did not mention family in raising funds because that is what people mostly think. I have an uncle who is this and that. He's going to give me money to study. Lucky you. If you do that, your uncle does that, then it's lucky you. But how many people, how many uncles are going to do that to other people?
That's true. That's true. That's true. Thank you so much, Mr. Harrison. I am delighted to have had this conversation with you. We've been planning this for a long time, and I'm glad that we finally had it. And I look forward to inviting you again. But this time, I would like to have with a couple of other Africans who are doing well in their own in different countries. At least I know I'm privileged to have access to people from different parts of Africa and different part of the world. I'll be glad to have you again in the midst of other entrepreneurs and CEOs, young CEOs around Africa, and let's share thoughts and try to inspire somebody. So thank you so much. Any last words before we go?
Oh, thank you so much, Pastor George. It was my pleasure to be in this discussion. Time went so fast.
Yeah.
That's why we need to talk again next time. Um, I would just want, in my closing note, to thank everyone who was part of this conversation, and to encourage us African youths and Africans in general, and anybody watching from all over the world, not only Africans, that we are in one small village, and this is the time for us to create our change. As you asked me that question, that when I will be lying on my dying bed, what is going to be that thing that I will look at and say, "Wow, I'm happy because I did this." I want to throw that same question to everyone here in this forum today. That what is that thing that when you want to close your eyes on your dying bed, you'll be proud of? And what are the little actions that you can take now, every day, to be able to get there? What are those silent words that talk to you when you are alone? And what are those dreams that you dream of? Those things that you aspire to do more, and what are the actions they are taking to be able to get there, and to let you know that it takes just little effort every day. It doesn't take one big effort in one short time. You have to keep on working on it day by day until you get there, and even when you get there, you have to keep on improving. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Harrison. It's been an honor to chat with you. I look forward to welcoming you again on the standard conversation with Chigozie George. And everybody, thank you so much for joining us for another wonderful conversation on Saturday. I look forward to welcoming you for another amazing conversation again next week. Till I come your way again next week, thank you all and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye, everybody.